Sorry, I just got cut off there because it was recording and I had to give permission. Sorry about that. Um, so I just was saying that, as Louise said, that my part of my role is supporting external authentication across City of Dublin ETB. So I'm going to take you through a couple of things that we found in the EA reports last year that we were glad to see, and that informed some of the work that we did this year. And then we'll have a few presentations from some of the other some people on integration, and we'll have a presentation on AI. And I'm talking and trying to do this at the same time, so just give me a second. On AI, and we'll have a presentation on library resources for supporting academic integrity. Yeah, sorry. Apologies there, just give me a second. There we go. Apologies for that. So I'm just going to put this into slideshow. Okay, I'm going to go right up to the top. Okay, there we go. Slideshow, and we will go beginning. Okay. Thank you for coming. So, yeah, the things we're going to cover are updates, or just a couple from QQI, a summary report of the EA reports that we got from across the City of Dublin ETB last year, and what we would like you to focus on this year. There'll be a little presentation on academic integrity. We're going to talk a little bit about assessment, UDL and equivalences, and then EA processes and procedures, including the role of the external authenticator, and then how to get paid. And I should have put in there that there is going to be a presentation on AI as well. So the QA updates are just that there is an interim guidelines document for external authenticators, and the link to it is there. If you want to have a read of it, there was a consultation on it last year in Q4 last year, so that's closed now, but the updated guidelines we're still waiting on. There's also there for your interest a program development and validation webinar that QQI gave in 2024, in late 2024. Okay, so a short report was produced. I used the passive voice there, but I produced a short report summarizing the main themes from EA reports across the City of Dublin ETB. It was a purposive sample of 54 reports, so we wanted to get a spread across all of the service spheres and across external authenticators. So we didn't end up with, 10 of one EA's reports and none of other people's. The quality of the reports, it was good analysis given in the reports, and crucially that was given for each component as per the layout of the EA report form. And because that is useful for centres, because it means that then they can give individual reports back to the individual teachers, tutors, instructors. So themes that came up in EA reports that were, things that were talked about and things that we did some work on were internal verification. So for the most part, EAs commended the thoroughness of the IV process and the fact that totting errors and transfers of results and signatures were picked up and rectified at IV. So that was good information for us. The internal verification documents differed across the organisation, and so a working group has been working on that all year to standardise those across all our service spheres, with the exception of the training centres. They're going to use the same documentation as they have used, because their systems, their software systems are very different from everywhere else. So 3 centres have agreed to pilot the new IV documentation, And if you're IVing in one of those centres, they're only doing it in 1 or 2 modules. So if you're IVing in one of those centres and they point this out to you, it would be really useful for us to get some feedback from you as EAs about how you think that they worked, those new documents. So marking and assessments, the marking and marking schemes, there were recommendations for rubrics. It seems for the most part, you were saying that their marking schemes are providing clarity, but we did again encourage people to go to the FEST training for rubrics and for marking schemes. Okay, so the feedback for learners, what you said about it was that it was overwhelmingly positive and constructive. And what you said overwhelmingly was that it was positive and constructive. And where enhancements were needed, it was what you said was it was to make it more specific, more formative, and as well as summative, and it should be in a writing format. And that was very good feedback for us, for centres, to be able to give that then out to centres in this report. What came across in the commentary, there wasn't a huge amount of commentary on UDL, and what came across when there was that there was scope for more UDL, that where it was being done well, but there needed to be more of it. And that again is good feedback for us. And what we would really like if you could do this year is to comment again when you see UDL approaches being used. And we'll talk about UDL a bit later, but when you see them being used, commend the use of them. Or if you don't see it and you think that could be more UDL there, recommend it. That would be brilliant if you could do that. So integration. You did make comments about integration, again, commending it when it was being done well and recommending where more could take place. And out of that, we created an integration working group, which was a subgroup of one of our governance groups. And Catherine Smith, who was the chair of that governance group, is going to, who's the chair of that working group, is going to talk to us a bit later about integration. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the quality of assessment instruments, UDL, yeah, sorry, I should forget that slide. I'll get rid of that slide. So we've talked about the 3 centres that are piloting the newly devised documentation and asking if you will comment on that. So I'm going to hand over to Catherine now, who chaired that working group on integration in teaching, learning and assessment, and she's going to talk us through the next few slides.
Catherine got temporarily thrown out, but she's back in and can speak again. Catherine, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. Thank you. My coverage isn't great, so I apologize. So, is it okay to talk about a couple of slides now, Siobhan? Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Catherine. I had introduced you, but I didn't realise you'd been kicked out. But
sorry. Thank you. Apologies. Thank you. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the integration of teaching, learning and assessment, obviously more the focus on assessment for the EAs. I'm part of a working group for the City of Dublin, and a number of members are here, and we're focusing on the benefits of integrated teaching, learning and assessment. What we would like the EAs to have a look for really is evidence of good practice for integrating assessment. From our work on the group, we found there to be quite a number of benefits of integrating. One of those to be reducing the burden of over-assessment for learners. That's huge for our learners at the moment. By integrating, it's really enhancing motivation for our learners as well. It's involving them in the learning process, and it's helping to integrate different disciplines as well. So not only your communications and work experience, it might be business, whatever their relevant modules are within their course. And it encourages creative thinking and innovation as well. If you can go to the next slide then, Siobhan, please. Thanks a million. So why we would like the EAs to focus and promote integration of the teaching, learning and assessment. Again, from our work on the group, we've found that there's evidence of over-assessment of learners. There's multiple assessments with similar content and similar learning outcomes. And this can lead for stress and confusion for learners, and it can lead for stress for teachers as learners delay handing in the work. We all know ourselves, the bulk of the work can sometimes come towards their academic session and the stress builds. And really you can see the benefits of integration when they've brought their assessments together. Like I mentioned earlier, common areas for integration would be communications, PPD, personal professional development, research and study skills, and work experience. So teachers, educators will quite often integrate some assessments from those modules as they're across many awards. What we would like the EAs to focus on is looking for opportunities where you might see practice of integration within other relevant modules. So they've linked it with a business component, they've linked it with a folklore component, whatever their award is. And really for the EAs to be, for yourselves, to be looking at evidence of good practice of integration within awards, and we'd like you to commend that integration, but we'd also like you to have a look at maybe highlighting potential opportunities to integrate. A lot of centres and service spheres are at different stages of integration. Some have been doing it for a long time. Some are only coming round to the idea and looking at it now with the new modules being developed. But we would really like the EAs to highlight good practice of integration when they see it. And if they see opportunities for more integration, then to highlight that and to recommend integration as well. So hopefully that will, we can focus on that for the EAs and we can see some of that information coming back through the EA reports. Okay, thank you, Siobhan.
Siobhan, you're on silent. Siobhan, you're on silent, Siobhan, so nobody can hear you.
I couldn't see my screen to unmute myself. I'm going to share again. Sorry, that's what was happening there. Apologies for that, people. We're going to go back. I'm going to, sorry. I'm going to stop sharing again, and I'm going to go back to the beginning, or not to the beginning. Apologies for this. And thank you again, Catherine, for your input.
Actually, I know people have questions, but we're going to do the questions at the end after the recording. But I see a few people putting them into the chat. So if you want to continue to put your questions into the chat, it means we'll know what they are as they're coming along. Siobhan, would you like some help? Would you like someone to share it for you?
I'm okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm there now. Thank you for the offer of help, but I'm there now. Slideshow from current slide. Okay, so another thing we would like you to focus on this year, and you did comment on it last year, was academic integrity. And just to say that still similarity detection software can't keep up with developments in this field. And actually, the detection software for AI is more about probability rather than similarity, and it really isn't accurate. So the other thing to know is that SA mills are actually growing at the moment, because people are offering, SA mills are offering services to make your AI produced work look more like a human produced it. So we are looking to ways to encourage academic integrity and to detect and to sanction academic misconduct. So what we'd be looking for you to do is to, how you can support this. Ava's going to talk about this, but to support it, to look at referencing and comment on referencing and commend it when it is happening. But right now, Ava is going to take us through. Ava is our librarian in the CDU, and she's going to take us through some resources that are available for academic integrity.
Thanks, Siobhan. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have some trouble with my computer today. I don't know what's going on. 1st of April, probably. So yeah, we have, as Siobhan said, we have a few resources that should help people with teaching, and the EAs is obviously as well. You will find all of them on the City of Dublin ETB CDU website. So we have a website and a Moodle site. The website is accessible to everybody. So the address is cdetbcdu.ie, but I'll put it in the chat as well. You can have a look at it. You'll find we have a subcategory. Siobhan, can you give me sharing rights? Might be next. With me. Just because I can show people on my screen, might be easier.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, just make me a co-presenter. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, lovely. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay. So as Siobhan was saying, we've developed a couple of resources which hopefully should help you with your work. It's all on the City of Dublin ETB CDU website. You see the address up here, but I put it in the chat. If you go to the tab called Quality Assurance, and then there's a sub menu called Quality Assurance Assessment Process. So you have to scroll down a little bit. It's a kind of a accordion thingy, and it kind of opens up then into a different part of the website. So you have all the different documents here, including everything for EA. So Siobhan's going to talk about, I think, money later on. So you find all the subsistence claims and payment forms here. So people should be able to download it. Most of them are in Word, so you can use it obviously to kind of fill in your own documentation. Some of them are in PDFs. If you have any problems accessing any of them, please let me know, because it could be that your website, your browser at work is blocking it. We have some trouble here on the CDU as well. I can see it in one kind of, I think it works in Edge, but it doesn't work in Chrome for that reason. I have no idea. So let me know if you have any problems, and I can send you the documentation by email. So we have all the different policies and procedures, and academic integrity, as you can see here, is a sub part of the website. So all the policies, academic misconduct procedures, and other guidelines, and also video. That's an external video done by a professor somewhere, can't remember, and kind of explaining why people cheat, basically, why students cheat. And I think it's as old as the school system is. So anyway, it's quite interesting to watch. You also find resources for the Harvard referencing system, which we are using in City of Dublin ETB, all kind of documents and tutorials and short videos, which might be of interest to learners as well. So they are kind of easy to follow, hopefully. And we also have information on artificial intelligence resources, but I think Ema's going to talk about it a bit later. So that's our CDU website. So just scroll around and have a look. And if there's anything you can't find, just get in touch. I'll put my details into the chat. We also have obviously good connections to the EDB digital library. My colleagues David and Robert have a fabulous handbook, which is for learners at the moment, but they're working on one it's in the pipeline, one for staff as well, for researchers and for teachers. So you can have a look here. You can download it if you want. There's extra information on the site. You can just scroll down and see, and they have loads of information on anything from plagiarism in general, and then to kind of, more obvious forms of trying to cheat on an assignment, or what is allowed, what's not allowed, basically, and extra bits and pieces about AI as well. So there's a really fabulous website, and they have loads of other resources as well. I can really recommend them. Then the National Academic Integrity Network is run also under the auspice of QQI, so you have loads of information on that website as well. And again, we'll put the links into the chat. You can have a look, and it's also in the presentation. So, and I think Siobhan probably is going to share them with you. And the last one, which I can't see, the academic. There's another link to the terminology that QQI are using. So it's all in the presentation anyway. You can click on it. But as I said, if you need any kind of information or help with any of this, just give me a shout, okay? Thanks, Siobhan. I put all those things into the chat and then people have it hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Ava, for that. And yes, several of those resources that you referenced are linked in the slides, which will be made available after this briefing. Thank you again, Ava. I'm going to just share again. No, wrong thing. I'm sharing the wrong thing. Stop sharing. I'm sorry, I cannot see it on my screen.
Would you prefer? Can we?
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, could somebody else share it at the moment, because I can't, for some reason I can't see it on my screen there. And could you go to slide 17?
Yeah, just give me a sec.
Yeah.
I have it here. Yeah.
Thanks. So while Ava is sharing that, I will just talk you through a couple of things that we would like you to look at. So, and these are in the slides, so you'll see them when Ava starts sharing them. So if you could ensure that learners are not overburdened by assessments by recommending or commending the use of authentic assessments and scaffolded UDL assessments, greater integration of assessments across courses that Catherine has spoken about, and the appropriate spread of assessments across the year. So, you know, the briefs will have dates on them. Have they been spread across the year? And a greater focus on multiple means of expression or application of UDL principles. And again, we'd like, what we're concentrating on is creating a culture of academic integrity. But we would like you to take a proportionate approach to the identification of academic misconduct. And then maybe draw a distinction between what you see as a lack of knowledge or ability in academic referencing by learners and deliberate cheating, and commend where you see good application of referencing by students. Can we go to the next slide, please? So Emer is our is a member of the VET team also, and she is going to talk to us about artificial intelligence, which is an area that she's done a lot of work on over the last year. Emer, do you want to?
Hi, thanks, Siobhan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So for Siobhan has asked me to talk to you a little bit about what you can do, but to keep in mind when you're looking at assignments or work when you go into schools, to look at current practice and note if AI is being used well, and with the approval of a tutor, and commend good use and bring it to our attention. So AI, as you can imagine, maybe this time next year I'll have twice as many slides or way more. So we're just at the starting point of looking at it for assessment. We definitely will have to rethink assessment, but this is where we are at the moment. So it's increasingly going to become part of teaching, learning and assessment. We'll have to rethink the assessment techniques. And this is going to be a big challenge for every education institution in the world. An AI policy is currently being developed in collaboration with Ireland's National Research and Education Network and ETBI. And this policy will address the use of AI in education, ensuring responsible and effective implementation. And the current guidelines that we're working with are from QQI, and exactly what Siobhan has referenced from NAIN, so the National Academic Integrity Network Generative AI Guidelines, and Ava has it on the Moodle website as well. So there's another link. So one more slide. I'm going to go forward, Siobhan. Okay, so, but our job as educators is to equip students, learners for the workplace. or for going into a higher level, another level of education. So they will be expected to have a knowledge of AI, Gen AI, when they enter the workforce. So this is a huge challenge for us. So we're not ever going to talk about banning the use of AI, but we're going to talk about, and going forward, promoting the safe and ethical use of AI and encourage critical thinking in relation to bias and discrimination. So some teachers worry about their jobs, but the way I see it at the moment is teachers' jobs really now need to focus on those skills which are very human skills, those transversal skills or 21st century skills, complex problem solving, critical and creative thinking, collaboration and empathy, but alongside the AI skills. So that generative AI tool, we have access to Copilot, can be your guide on the side and can be your coach. But all these human skills, those 3 C's, even there's more than 3 C's in there, have to be the focus in the classrooms. That's what we really need to teach. And they will be the key skills when our learners go into the workplace. You'll have AI skills, but you have to have those really good human skills. And the key focus areas for AI in education: ethics, safety, and values. So that's what we will be looking at bringing forward in teaching for our learners. So I just have 2 slides today. This time next year, I might have an awful lot more. See where we go. So thanks for your attention. Thanks, Siobhan.
Thank you, Emer. That's great. And yeah, I imagine you will have more slides next year. Okay, so we're going to just move on to what we would like you to say about the assessment instruments. So we'd like you to commend or recommend the following: clear assessment instruments written in appropriate language for learners to understand. That integration is clearly signposted in briefs. It's signposted for the learners in their briefs. That the assessment instrument provides an opportunity to learners to be creative while meeting the LOs. And the assessment gives the learners the opportunity to gain full marks. And again, as Ava said, clear referencing where appropriate and using Harvard referencing. We go on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we talked about UDL a little bit, and we are very much encouraging universal design across our teaching and learning and assessment. So if you're unfamiliar with what UDL is, there is a presentation there. We're not going to go through it now, but there's a link to the presentation there, and that is also on the CDU website as well. If you go looking there, you'll find it. So just to make sure that you know what a clear approach to UDL is a priority for City of Dublin ETB, and we want this approach to be applied across the scheme. And if you recognise examples of UDL and assessment techniques used at different level, that these are equally valid to traditional assessment techniques. And we have a document which is in this as well, in these slides, which will give you equivalences. So just say you're asking a 1,000-word essay, but you're not going to ask for an essay. You're going to ask for a presentation or a podcast. So we have a document to say, well, this is what we consider equivalent to a 1,000-word essay, for example. And there are other things that we have equivalences for as well. Okay, so can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so this is our equivalence document. This is about, and it's based on learner effort. It's not based on, well, the amount of words in that and the amount of minutes in that. It's based on the effort that is put in to produce this thing. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So here is what can be considered equal. And this is the document that we're working from at the moment in City of Dublin ETB. And next one, please. Okay, so just to go through the role of the external authenticator, we do have guidelines for external authentication. They look like that, that little logo over there, and they're on our website, the City of Dublin, the CDU website, where Ava showed you where all of those things to do with EAing are and academic integrity are. So just to run through a few of those things that are part of the role of the EA, that we see as part of the role of the EA. It's so to visit the centre either virtually or in person and meet the appropriate staff and possibly learners. Examine and evaluate all assessment instruments and marking schemes to ensure that all learning outcomes have been assessed via the instruments and that the instruments meet the national standards of the award to which the module leads. And they will be in the programme descriptor for the award, which will be available on the CDU Moodle site and will be supplied by the centre. Review and comment on internal verification reports and authenticate the findings and outcomes. And again, just to remind you about the 3 centres that are piloting the new documentation, if you could comment on that, that would be brilliant as well. Confirm that the assessment of learners is fair and consistent with the City of Dublin ETB's procedures and processes. And their policy and QQI's policy on quality assuring the assessment. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So part of the role also is to select a sample of learner evidence in accordance with the sampling strategy, which again is in the guidelines, and moderate this evidence against the relevant standards. And there is a link there to the standards. This may result in the EA proposing a change in grades awarded. Proposing a change in grades. So the RAP will decide on whether the change in grades happens. The EA can propose a change in grades. Identify any issues, irregularities in relation to the assessment process. Liaise with quality teams and internal assessors with requests for further information to discuss the findings and provide feedback. So there should be, conversations happening there between you and the quality team or the nominated person from that quality team. And recommend results for approval. And again, just a reminder, because this did occur last year, that it's the role of the EA to recommend changes, not to make changes to results. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So this is about payment. This bit now that I'm going to say now is more relevant for kind of September, October time. But an additional €65 per day will be paid to EAs for if you review assessment briefs and marking sheets prior to them being given to learners. So that means that if the centre was going to call you in for 3 days, they thought they had 3 days worth of external authentication to be done, but they send the briefs to you in advance, then you will be paid €65 by 3 for that, to do that, in addition to what you will be paid, which would be the normal EA payment when you come in to do your 3 days at the end of the year. You need to send a copy of your report both to the centre and to the FET Development Unit, and you will get it to the FET Development Unit at that email address. And the EAs will need to attend. You will need to attend a centre briefing to clarify how you are going to access the materials required. So this briefing is an overall kind of briefing, but you'll need to go to the one given by your centre so that you know how to work with that centre. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, yes, we're saying you must register with the City of Dublin ETB by clicking on this link. And you need to send evidence of your qualifications and your CV to EA reports, the same address that you're going to send your report to. This link and this address will be on the EA report as well, on the EA report form. So you will have them there to but do make sure that you register with us so we can know who's EAing across our system. And also because when it comes to next year, people will ring me and say, Siobhan, I need an EA for, and then you will be on the register, which is the first place I go looking for EAs. And yeah, you must use the correct claim form. The new claim forms are up on the website. They'll be sent out to centres in the next couple of weeks. But it is really important that you use the 2025-2026 form only. If EAing in person, you will need to complete the travel claim form. And this needs to have a wet ink signature on it. So you will need to sign it. You can't sign it digitally. You need to sign it and then send it back to the centre, who will send it on to us. And you must include the exact dates that you worked. Let me go to the next slide. Thank you, Ava. EAs who are submitting a commencement form must provide evidence of a PPSN, and these are the ways that you can provide evidence of a PPSN. I won't read through them now, but they're there on the slide, and if you have any questions about that, you can pop them in the chat or ask them later, or you can email me later as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so there is, as there was last year, a generic commencement form for all ETBs. The generic service agreement must be signed and sent to your centre and to the EA reports at FET address there. So your claim form as well needs to be signed by your head of centre and by you, but it does need to be signed by the head of centre. So if you send it in without the head of centre signing it, it will be sent back to you, and the head of centre will send it in centrally to be processed. And again, I'm saying this again because it's really important, because it will delay your payment if you don't have a wet signature on the TNS claim form. And again, they're at that link. That is a link. I don't know why it isn't showing up in bright blue, but it is a link there. Yep. Can we go to the next one? And again, I'm just saying it again because I can't say it enough, because it has happened that people's travel and subsistence has been delayed because of not having a wet ink signature. So that is if you have any queries about travel and subsistence or about your claim to travel and subsistence, that is the email address that you need to go to. Can we go to the next slide, please? So thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. And now we have time for any questions. And maybe, Kira, you might stop the recording now.